Hi, this is Dimensions with D. I'm your host, Danny. And since this is the second episode, I wanted to start a new series called The Mask, where I delve deep into the five characters that I played during my time in theater. So for the first part, I want to talk about about my time playing the character Henry from the Next to Normal musical. When I played Henry in Next to Normal, I didn't realize at the time how much of myself I was going to leave on the stage and how much of myself I would take with me after the final curtain. At the time, I thought I was just doing another show, another role, another performance. But Henry ended up being more of a character and more of a mirror. He reflected parts of me I already had, parts I didn't realize I needed to grow into yet. Henry isn't loud. He's not the center of chaos. He doesn't demand attention. He waits, he listens, and he stays. And living inside that kind of presence every other night changed the way I understood connection. Not just romantically, but socially, emotionally, and even spiritually. One of the biggest things Henry taught me was patience. Not the passive kind. Not the kind where you disappear or silence yourself. Henry is patient in a way that still shows up. He doesn't rush Natalie. He doesn't push her into clarity. He lets things unfold even when it hurts him the most. That was something I desperately needed to learn at the time, as I was someone who wanted answers really quickly. I wanted to know where I stood with people, even and that's something that I still struggle with to this day. And but playing Harry forced me to sit in uncertainty without trying to control it. It showed me that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stay present without demanding a resolution. That lesson didn't just leave. That lesson didn't just live on stage. It followed with me into my personal life, into the relationships I had with people, into moments where I wanted reassurance but instead learned to breathe and trust the process. Henry helped me understand that patience isn't weakness, it's strength that doesn't need to announce itself. In the musical, Henry doesn't try to fix Natalie, he supports her, and that distinction mattered more than I ever expected. Before taking this role, I often felt like being there for someone meant having the right words or the right solution to the problem. However, Henry showed me that sometimes support is just listening, just staying, just letting someone exist without trying to repair them. That shifted how I showed up for people off stage. What I mean by that is just like my my fellow actors on stage, the whole cast and crew behind the scenes, and then I would say people in my personal life as well. I became more comfortable sitting with someone's discomfort without scrambling to make it all better. I learned how to hold space, not just for others but for myself, to let emotions pass through without through instead of trying to manage or suppress them. That was huge for me, especially as someone who thinks deeply and often carries a lot on the inside. Henry gave me permission to stop performing as a stoic person and start practicing presence more. However, I will say though that singing as hearing meant being emotionally exposed in front of people every other night. So there's no hiding behind jokes or smart banter when you're singing about longing and hope and quiet love under the right lights of the stage. And by the way, the songs that I did or performed, however you want to say it, were Perfect for You, Hey Number Three, Perfect for You, the reprise of that, and Light, which was my personal favorite. That type of vulnerability changed my relationship with my own emotions. It made me more comfortable expressing them out loud. Not dramatically, not performatively, but honestly. That kind of emotional openness was still new to me at the time. Playing Henry helped me loosen the grip I had on control. The idea that I always needed to keep things composed and on the inside. It taught me that letting people see your heart doesn't make you fragile. It makes you real. A real actual person. And once you experience that on stage, it becomes easier to do in everyday life, in conversations, and the many relationships you might have. In the moments where honesty feels risky but necessary. Henry is hopeful but not unrealistic. He knows things are complicated, He knows Natalie is struggling, and still he believes in connection, possibility, and in showing up. That balance between optimism and realism became something I carried with me as I got older. I stopped seeing hope as denial and started seeing it as a choice, a decision to stay open even when things aren't guaranteed. Henry helped me believe that it's okay to hope, even when outcomes aren't promised, especially then. Henry reshaped my understanding of love, not as intensity, not as an obsession, but as consistency. Because he shows up, he listens, he waits, he stays kind even when he's confused or hurt. That betrayal helped me rethink what I wanted to be in relationships, not just the romantic ones, which I never have have been in. So, but I would say friendships too. Even though I guess I would say people. I guess I would say friendships too. I became more intentional about being someone people could feel safe around. Someone steady, someone present. And honestly, that realization felt grounding. It kind of took the pressure off. It reminded me that I don't have to be everything to someone. I just have to be me. And oddly enough, playing someone so gentle made me more confident socially at the time. Because Henry doesn't dominate the space that he's in, but people do notice him. His warmth sort of draws people in. That translated into my real life. I stopped feeling like I had to perform or impress around the people that I were performing with. I leaned into being approachable, into being calm, into letting conversations breathe. It helped me trust that my presence alone was grounded. Well, when grounded and authentic was enough. Henry exists on the outside of a family dealing with severe mental illness. He doesn't fully understand it, but he feels its weight, which I would say is a one of the big things I carry with me after doing that role, because I would say I'm still someone who struggles with anxiety, social anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts. Um, I I feel like I've always done I've especially in college. I would say it's kind of those things have grown, but praying that but I say praying and kind of talking to people has kind of lessened the blow. I would say, but those are things I still struggle with. I would say, but playing the perspective of Henry deepened my empathy in ways I didn't expect. It reminded me that mental health struggles don't exist in isolation. They ripple outward, affecting everyone connected to them. That awareness stayed with me. It made me more sensitive, more patient, and more thoughtful in how I approach people's pain, especially when I don't fully understand it. Playing Henry kind of felt like a rehearsal for adulthood, especially for relationships, for empathy, and for navigating uncertainty with grace. He definitely didn't change who I was, but I would say he refined it. He reinforced my empathy. He softened my need for control. He strengthened my patience. He gave me language for love that isn't too loud. He taught me how to stay. When I think about my time, like all the table reads, the rehearsals, and as well as the final performance of the next Storm musical, I just don't remember. I just don't remember the music, like me singing and others singing, or the applause. I For me, I would say I remember the quiet moments, the stillness, the listening, and the choosing to show up. Because there was a few times I feel like, because I would say I'm a persona actor, so when I get roles, or like the roles I like to get are things I could see as me, and so I feel like there were a few times that I was like really. delve deep in the characters. So I was kind of down at some certain points, so I definitely didn't want to show up, but I still chose to because I guess now I can say like out of respect for everyone else. But nonetheless, Henry taught me that sometimes the most powerful thing you can be is steady. That kind of growth doesn't always look dramatic, and that connection isn't about being perfect. Perfect. It's about being present. And honestly, that's something I hope to carry with me long after the lights for me have gone out. As I hope to reach someone, especially with me doing like the show and talking about the things I talk about. Um, because my thing is always just like if I were to just reach one person, then I feel like I feel like my life is a success. I guess I would say. So yeah, that has been my experience talking about playing Henry on the next normal musical. Um, I overall I'd say I really enjoyed it. Um, well, as you've heard, I've definitely learned a lot through that experience. I will say it's kind of tough being in college about being all the different people as well as people in my personal life now, currently. But I will say it's nice to like think back on when I'm kind of reflecting on life and praying. It's definitely a role that I think of fondly. And so yeah, that concludes this first part of the Mask series. And so the next part will be it will probably well, yeah, okay, well, yeah. So I'll go ahead and say what the musical is. Um, the next one I did was Grease, and so on the next on the second part of uh, the Mask series, I'll go into a character I played on the Grease musical, which which may not be who you all think, and so yeah, this is Dimensions with D. I'm your host Danny, and I'll see you on the next episode.